Let's get to some more policy issues now. You were once given an A grade from the NRA for being a staunch supporter of gun rights at the time. You opposed amnesty, you opposed sanctuary cities, and have since done a 180 on all three, at one point saying that it's important to know when you're wrong. Why should that be good enough for voters to support you rather than your opponents who've held these positions all along?
So over the last 10 years, I have been a leader on fighting for gun reform, having universal background checks, making sure we ban bump stocks and large magazines and assault rifles, making sure we have an anti-trafficking law. But the truth is, I grew up in upstate New York in this 2-to-1 Republican district. I grew up in a family that were a family of hunters. My mother, she loved to make clothes, she loved to cook, she would make the Thanksgiving turkey, but she also shot the Thanksgiving turkey. So when I was an upstate congresswoman 12 years ago, I really only focused on my own district. But what I regret is that I should have focused on challenges for other families in other parts of our state and other parts of our country. Because when a young child, when a teenage girl goes to a party and gets killed with a stray bullet, and you look her parents in the eye, as I did when I met Nyasha Pryor-Yard's parents, you know immediately you should have done more. You should have done what's right to stand up for her life and make sure you take on gun violence. But more than that, we all need to take on the greed and corruption that represents the NRA. Because the real truth is nothing gets done in Washington because of the corruption and greed of the gun manufacturers that largely fund the NRA. The NRA does not care who buys that weapon. They don't care if it's someone on the terror watch list or a teenager in a Walmart. They don't care if it's somebody who's gravely mentally ill or has a violent criminal record. They want to sell that weapon. That is the definition of greed. It's not about capitalism, it's about greed. Because when you cross over and say, I want to sell all weapons at all costs, including the terrorists on the terror watch list, then they are not representing you and I. And you ask America, you ask Iowans, do you support common sense gun reform? When we've polled it, 70% of America supports these basic things: universal background checks, banning the assault rifles and large magazines, and making sure we have an anti-trafficking law. That's what should be done. And when you're wrong, if you don't have the courage to admit it, then you cannot be president of the United States.
Now, it's hard to distinguish a lot of the Democrats in this race. You support universal health care, addressing climate change, criminal justice reform, stronger background checks when buying guns, you just mentioned, legalizing recreational marijuana, a lot of you do, making college more affordable. You propose free community college and debt-free college at four-year public institutions. It's free college, I guess, as long as you don't come from a family that makes more than $125,000 a year. You and Amy Klobuchar both hold that same position. Why that stipulation on income, and why not free for everyone if everyone is paying into the system?
So I have another big idea. That's the one you mentioned is the one a lot of us are just access, just getting more people there who can't afford it. But this is the idea that I think is really the one that works. So if you're willing to do a year of public service, you would get 2 years of community college free. If you're willing to do 2 years of public service, you get 4 years community college or state school free. And the reason why this works is it's an expansion of the GI Bill. The GI Bill, if you remember, was one of the greatest economic engines of our entire U.S. history. Because when men and women came back from fighting wars, the idea was to make sure people could get education. Now, the GI Bill wasn't perfect. A lot of people were left behind. But if you build on the concept and you say, if you're willing to serve, and service should be broad. Service should include working in healthcare, helping as a home health aide, helping getting your nursing degree and doing public service there. It could include education, helping our teachers, being a teacher's assistant or something like Teach for America. Build on great programs like the AmeriCorps. I mean, AmeriCorps helps seniors who are having trouble and helping them age in place. It helps kids who need after-school help and need mentors. Expand what we already do for Teach for America and the AmeriCorps and the Peace Corps, because when the young people of this country get a chance to serve others, put others before themselves, it reminds us all what has made this country great. We used to care about one another. We used to actually believe in the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated, care about the least among us. And so if you could offer, ask your young people, do public service, and you can get your education paid for, I think it changes everything.
Before you